G'day people, how are we? I hope you are all well and not affected by the China virus. As I'm recording this, we are coming out of lockdown in Melbourne, or it's getting eased. We still only got 25 kilometres travelled, but retail shops are opening with some cafes, bistros, pubs, so on and so on and so on, with limited numbers of people. So that's great. I can finally get to the shops. Anyway, we're going to get stuck into this BSA or British Birmingham Small Arms, whatever they call themselves, 120cc stationary engine that I picked up a little while back from a guy not too far from here. So we're just going to, you can call it a restore if you want. We're just going to clean it up and make it look nice and just get it running nice. It's already a runner. As I say, the first part of the video, I didn't know exactly what model it was. I've since found out, so sort of ignore that. But yeah, we'll get into it, make it nice. I want to try and, as I say, improve on the last one. Not that the last one was bad, but I reckon you can always do a little bit better, hopefully. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah, thanks to my subscribers and anyone else who takes any part in this or anything. And yeah, let's get into this, guys. Well, guys, as promised, our next little project in the lockdown in Melbourne is going to be a BSA. As you can see by the original sticker there, I'm not exactly sure what model this is. I'm sure I'll discover that as I clean it up and I find some serial numbers. Some of you may already know. The carburetor is an Amel. This one actually goes. It's missing the exhaust. I've made up a little flange for it, as you can see. So, but yeah, we've got to make up the rest of the muffler and that. That's all right, that's easy. We've got a bit of a serial number down here. C1376911 it looks like. Now, what all that means, I don't know. Other than that, this one's basically complete. There's no dents or anything in it. It's just hasn't been touched in years. So, looks like the ID plate or something has been taken off from here. So that would have told us probably what model it was. But yeah, she's all complete, so we're going to start tearing this one down. Don't know what the inside of the tank's like, probably a bit hard to see, but anyway, we'll clean it up anyway. Once again, it'll be an original rebuild. I'm not going to modify anything unless I absolutely have to. Bit of a dent there and that, but we should be able to fix that. Yeah, it looks like the engine's a grey colour with red cowling and tank. Don't know its history, don't know what it's been used for. But yeah, it is a runner. So yeah, we'll get into it and pull it apart and see what it looks like, tubers. Just took the cylinder head off, tubers, on the BSA we're doing. All looks pretty good. Bore looks alright. Can't see anything. Can't feel it. A little bit of a ridge there, but that's probably just carbon. Yeah, it's just carbon by the looks of it. Valves and that are moving okay. No, tiny little bit of wobble in the piston, but nothing too serious. So we'll probably, probably get away. We might see if we can get a set of standard rings. I'll see if I can get them. If not, I think we'll be all right. Once again, I've just got to see if there's any marks on it to indicate that it's an oversize or anything like that. But yeah, we'll keep moving on. I've got to make up a little bit of a puller to pull this flywheel off. I've got a couple of bolts, so I'll just make a flat plate, screw the bolts in, that should pop it off. Maybe with a bit of heat anyway, we'll see. Alright tubers, we've made up our little puller. Don't even know if it's going to work. The idea is pretty simple, just gradually load up these bolts, give it a tap there. The retaining nut is there just so we don't damage the threads on the end. I don't think it'll be tight. If not, we can bung a little bit of heat in here and see what happens. Well, tubers, she's fighting me this one, but we're getting there. That flywheel was a fair income bastard to get off, but we got it. The pulley on the other side was also a bit of a pain. In the process, we broke it, but I'll be able to turn it up on the lathe, no worries, and fix all that up, so that's no big deal. It was extremely tight for some reason on that keyway, or the shaft, whatever, and it was tight somewhere there, so we got that out. But yeah, we'll turn all that down. The only reason that outside bit was there, it had a thing for a rope pull on it. Well, I've got a rope pull on the other side, so yeah, we can save the pulley and use that, and we'll be all right. So we'll continue with the teardown. Well, the bottom of the motor's off, tubers. Cam and that doesn't look too bad at this stage. Haven't got anything apart yet. Another similar design to the little JAP, except in there runs the cam gear. So that's different again. So I suppose the old English weren't scared to experiment a bit. Tell you what, tubers, you probably know already. This is what takes all the time, is all cleaning these components. It's yeah, it's got a moth bloody stuck to it. Very time consuming to clean them up and all of that, but it's worth the effort, you know. They've all been sandblasted, ready to powder coat. We're still deciding on a colour. That's the breaker plate or the stator plate or whatever anyone wants to call them. Interestingly enough, I don't know if you can see in there, I'll try and get the light right. You can just make out two holes in the bushing. Now, looking at the part, they line up, if I can get the light right, with those two holes. When I pulled the motor apart, they didn't. The bearing or the bushing had actually spun, or it appears so, or it was never put right from the factory. Fortunately, it didn't chop out the bearing or the crankshaft. So, yeah, there you go. I just spotted that as I was cleaning it. There, that's a better shot of the holes. They didn't line up. They do now, but yeah, there you go. So it just always pays to just sort of look at these things. Don't just take it for granted that, you know, everything's okay. Well, we're going to try this again, tubers. These are parts of the air filter. So we're going to give these a bit of a ultrasonic clean. The last one stayed together and it got it pretty clean. Once again, this one's dirty, but it's a felt. So we're going to bung it in there and with a bit of bloody degreasing stuff and give him a bloody ultrasonic clean. Just been working away on the BSA, guys. Bit more powder coating. Done the air cleaner assembly. Little bit funny on top. I don't know. I don't think I had a real good earth. Anyway, it's not bad though. I mean, look, it's what do you want for a 70-year-old engine? The air cleaner came up all right after I ultrasonic cleaned it. So reassembled all that. That looks all right. Done the tank brackets, the petrol tank brackets. They come up okay. You know, not too bad. I cleaned them up a fair bit first. And you're slowly getting the hang of this powder coating. Got some more bits to do. These are going to be engine colour, which I haven't decided yet. Don't know. We'll see about that. Just been doing a bit of work on the block itself, or the crankcase, or the engine, or whatever you want to call it. Did a cylinder hone. It's not bad. There is a little bit of a lip right there. I don't want to keep honing it forever. If you're really fussy, you could probably go to first oversize, like 20 thou over or something like that. I'm not that bothered by it, in all honesty. Look, it's not going to be a daily engine. It's not going back to work. It's purely a showpiece, and you can start it up and run it when you want. Same reason being the, if that'll focus, I don't know, the exhaust valve, pretty rusty and crappy. Like, I'd really like to grind it, but I'm just lapping it in as best I can. Same as the seat. The intake will come up fine. That's your intake there. That's your exhaust. I've been lapping it. It's sort of coming up. There is still a few pits in it. Once again, how fussy do you get? Like, it's an old engine. It's not going back to work. There's also a little bit of, don't know if you can see that, a little bit of slop in the guide. If it was going back on the road or, you know, that sort of thing, I'd probably be looking at doing, you know, valves and guides in it. But because she's just going to be a, you know, a display piece, not going to get too concerned. It'll run, it'll still get compression, all that sort of thing, so she should be all right. The cylinder hone, other than that, you know, it's a bit dark, you won't be able to see it properly. Come up all right, actually, the cylinder. As I say, it's just that little lip. Be lucky if it's a thou. I reckon it's about a thou. You can barely feel it. I could probably hone it out, you know, but I don't want to take any more meat out of the cylinder than I have to, I suppose, and I don't think it's going to hurt anything. But that's about it. Yeah, slowly cleaning up parts, and finally got my polisher and buffer set up and going. The wheel just came today. The polishing stuff came the other day. I made another stand, so we've got that all organised now for cleaning and polishing. So the shed's coming along slowly but surely. Still haven't got the lathe up off the ground. Probably another month before I can get the stand. Once again, it's probably factories having no end of trouble with the, you know, the bloody China virus holding everything up and that, but we're getting by, people, so yeah, one day I'll do a whole, I'll do a bit of a talk about what I've got in the shed anyway. All right, guys, talk soon. Well, still working on the BSA, guys, and cleaning up the tank. And we ground sort of, you know, wire wheeled off most of the paint and all that, and we started giving it a sandblast and that. And it's starting to come up, and then the inside you can't see it, but it's quite rusty. And so I stuck the sandblaster in there for a second, you know, because it's got to be all cleaned out anyway. Lo and behold, there's a couple of holes in the bottom, so the bottom of the tank's pretty rusty. Now, I found a couple of them. You can sort of see that repair there. Now, I've just used silver solder. I don't know if this is the way to go, but yeah, I've used silver solder and it's filled the hole beautifully. Same as up here, you can sort of see there's one, and you can just make out the second repair. There was two little holes. There's a couple little more holes right there. But they sort of filled up and took and that, and they sanded back beautifully. Now, it's probably not the right way to do it. I don't have the equipment or the knowledge to do it any other way. It seems to have sealed, so yeah, we'll keep going with that. We'll sandblast it a bit more and that and clean it right up, and yeah, give her a lick of paint. The cylinder head, the crankcase, block, engine, whatever you want to call it, has basically been finished. We've cleaned it all up a lot. Little bit more sandblasting you can see I've got to do just there, just with a bit of the paint to come off. I'm more worried that the powder coating powder won't stick to it. So a bit more sandblasting and another clean, and then we'll be ready to powder coat this. Now, I've been doing a bit of reading, apparently with bigger parts, you know, especially cast parts and that have been, you know, in oil for a long time. It doesn't hurt to bake them in the oven for about an hour to help sweat any oil out. So this has just come out of the oven an hour ago, and you can just touch it now. Yeah, it seems to be pretty good, but we're going to give it another clean anyway. It's got to be spotless, of course. A bit more paint to come off there with the sandblaster. The other thing too, tubers, you can see that's the intake. Have a look at the thickness of the guide, and that's the exhaust. Have a look at the thickness. So yeah, the exhaust guide is pretty worn, as probably would the valve be as well. But yeah, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm not spending big bucks on this engine. As I say, it's just a little showpiece, a little toy. If someone wants to make it a workhorse, then they'll have to do the valves. But I'll get by. It'll seal. It'll have good compression and it'll run. So yeah, we have been busy, guys. But yeah, and did a little bit of powder coating today. Did this plate that holds on the cowling. So that came up all right. And we did this piece in the red, and it's, I don't know where I've gone wrong with the powder coating. It's a little bit rough on the finish, so I can live with the inside. You don't see it. I've buffed off all the outside and I'll clean it all up again, and we'll try again. So these have got to be black. Yeah, and the rest of it you've seen. So yeah, that's going to be the colour of the tank and the cowling outside, just a red. Yeah, I've got to get some rivets and put that back too. Yeah, we're getting there. Well, that's the block powder coated, people. Cleaned up all right, seemed to come up okay. Yeah, doesn't look too bad. It's sort of, yeah, fairly happy with that. I mean, obviously it's missed a few spots underneath and that, but no big deal. That's the stator plate, that's put back together. Or breaker plate or ignition plate, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that'll be the finished colour of the outside components. But yeah, once I get some gaskets, we can start reassembly. Well, that's about it for this one, tubers. We shall see you very shortly in part 2 of this, which will basically just be the reassembly. Stay away from the China virus, stay well, people, and I'll talk to you all very soon.